the representative town meeting on Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. It is 7:14 p.m. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Adams?
Here.
Recording in progress.
Bailey? Representative Bailey?
Who's there?
I see you. I'm counting you here. Burrell?
Here.
Thank you. Representative Burrell? Bright?
Here.
Casper?
Here.
Here.
Surf?
Here.
Chase?
Here.
Cop? Crockett Hubbard?
Here.
Dean Shinbrot? Eben?
Here.
Frickman? Fritchie?
Yes. Here.
Okay. Gardner?
Here.
Gothier? Guinepiero?
Here.
Gustafson?
Here.
Hainline?
Here.
Hanscom?
Here.
Ivy?
Here.
Jacome? Massett?
Here.
Merritt?
Here.
Norman?
Here.
Aubry?
Here.
K. Powers?
Negotiate.
Okay. S. Powers?
Here.
Pacino?
Here.
Ray? Emily? Scott? John Scott?
Here.
Okay. Cimarero? Thomas?
Here.
V.C. Williams?
Here.
Watson?
He said he wouldn't make it.
Yeah. Weaver? Wells?
Here.
White?
Here.
Whitney? And Russ, 29.
So I did receive a message from Representative Kopp and Representative Watson that they would not make it tonight. If we could all please stand. We have a moment of silence, please. Representative Semeraro, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
United States of
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the April 13th, 2022 meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? There's a couple typos on my name.
Well, we'll have to fix those,
It says Rush instead of Russ.
but you are in a rush.
Often. Okay, seeing none, seeing no corrections, those will move. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Bailey.
A lot of people have their
I'm sorry,
hands up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see. Representative Bailey.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. There was your name was misspelled
Thank you.
in section India 1.
Thank you. We have that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Bailey, was there anything else?
And also,
Yep.
section K in the first line, your name was also misspelled.
Rush.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Eben.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. There were quite a few typos in these minutes, so I'll just go through really quickly.
Well,
On
could I
item
just, could I?
D1, the word
Hold
connectivity
on. Representative
is
Eben, the
misspelled.
clerk had something. Hold on one second.
Any typos, can you just send me a email? Because,
I'd rather say them
well,
now. I don't feel
typos
like
aren't-
typing them
aren't-
up
aren't
and
corrections to
emailing
minutes.
them if it's possible. I'd rather do it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Or you can come and pick.
Go ahead.
That connectivity is misspelled on item 7. Conservation is misspelled. On item 10, Ledgewood Road is misspelled, and encouraged is misspelled. On item 11, the word area is misspelled. On item 12, the word extension is misspelled. On item 18, it says, she found the statements presented this evening, which I think is unclear what is meant by that sentence.
Which sentence? I'm sorry, I didn't get that one. Could you repeat the last one, please? I didn't get that one. Representative Eben?
the last one was item 13.
13?
Item 13, is that the one
Okay.
you didn't get?
Yes. Okay. We just lost Zoom.
Recording in progress.
And on.
My
under
apologies.
budget
Hold on.
discussion,
Representative
can you hear
Eben, we
me?
just lost Zoom, so I'm going to have to, we were on item 13.
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
No, it's muted.
Oh, hold on one second.
I don't think we can hear anymore.
I'm
or you
sorry,
can hear
we-
me.
we
But
just
on
lost-
Item 13, the word subcommittees needs
Okay.
either to be singular or have an apostrophe added. I think it needs to be singular.
Okay. Any other corrections? Representative Thomas?
That's it for me.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yes, there's a correction in the liaison reports. Moderator, you already got the spelling correction, but your congratulations of Representative Bright on his appointment as RTM liaison to the Citizens and Police Committee is incorrect. He was appointed as the ex officio member of the RTM to the Citizens and Police Committee. That's much different.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That'll work.
Okay, seeing no other corrections, those meeting minutes will be approved as amended. Next up are the approval of the May 11th, 2022 meeting minutes. Any corrections? Representative Eben? Representative Eben?
Hi, sorry, I'm having computer malfunctions. Thank you. It states Amy Whitehouse is a member, but she resigned in the April meeting, and if she was still a member, she should be noted as one of the people who was not present.
Thank you. Any other?
And it misspelled Representative Norman's name underneath there in the roll call.
Oh, okay. Any other corrections? Representative Aubrey.
I just wanted to say what Betsy was trying to say. These don't have to be accurate to the point. They're a general synopsis of what has been said. You want to know exactly what was said, you can go to the town hall, you can go online.
Point of order, what's the purpose of this?
I'm scolding you.
Okay. So
Yeah,
in the
well,
future,
why
hold
doesn't it
on,
have
that's not
pertinent
appropriate.
motion
So in the
on the
future,
floor, which is the
in the
minutes?
future, what we are going to ask, that which has been asked in the past, is that if you have editing corrections, that you please send them to the town clerk in an email so that those can be made in an email form. So if it's an edit, please just send that in an email. Are there any other corrections? Seeing none, those meeting minutes are approved. Next up is public petitions. Is there anybody else who has not signed up who would wish to sign up?
Just
Okay.
3 people right now online.
Okay. Seeing, and we have 3 more online that want to speak?
They appear to be ones that would want to speak.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Seeing that we have 10 people who wish to speak, I'm going to ask that everybody please limit their comments to 3 minutes without any objections. Representative Thomas, okay?
Yeah, I think 5 minutes per person is reasonable. There's only 10. You said that's a little under an hour. They might not all take the 5 minutes.
Is there a second to that motion? Representative Cerf, is there any comments? Representative Cerf?
I happen to know that many of the people here tonight are here for their first time, and they have a very important issue to address. So I would really prefer not to limit them to 3 minutes because it's such a small amount of time, and what they have to speak about is really important.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to that? Okay, we're going to take a quick vote. All in favor? Oh, Representative Merritt.
I think the 5-minute limit is appropriate.
Okay. Do we have a vote? All in favor of 3 minutes?
I
Or
have
all
my
I'm
hand
sorry,
up
hold
too.
on. Representative
I had
Evan,
my
I'm
hand
sorry. I'll keep looking at the screen.
For quite a while.
Go ahead.
Thank
Representative
you, Madam
Evan.
Moderator. I guess I'm acknowledged.
Was-
I just wanted to speak in favor of 5 minutes also. I
Okay, thank you.
think it's an adequate amount of time.
Okay. All those in favor of 5, I'm sorry, all those in favor of the 5 minutes, please raise your hands. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Representative Scott? Which way are you voting? Okay, so we're doing 5 minutes.
I'm in favor.
Okay. So I have Fran Schneider as the first. Oh, let me read this first. This is the portion of the R.T.M. agenda where the R.T.M. welcomes comments from the public. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or as directed, and if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be limited to matters pertinent to the town of Broughton. The moderator or members through the moderator shall ask questions only in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. Responses may be given by the moderator and/or the town manager. Individuals should state their name and address for the record, please. First up is Fran Schneider.
Good evening, R.T.M. My name is Fran Snyder, 15.5 Water Street, Mystic. My husband was a Groton City Police Officer, William Snyder, that was killed in the line of duty while working. And in 2000, I was up in Hartford because other New England states have the bill, the law already passed. So I was up in Hartford and I got Bill 5885 signed and approved in 2000.
May I ask that you speak really into the microphone to the people on the...
Oh, okay. Do you want me to
Thank
repeat it again?
No, just keep, just
Okay.
close.
So I'm asking that the town accepts it.
Okay.
My husband was killed while directing traffic 28 years ago.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Next up, Christine, can you...
I'm going to allow someone to go ahead of me because of time.
Okay.
Go after.
Your name? Who's
It's on-
going?
it's on the-
Are you next on the list? I'm sorry, your name? Valerie Levy. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. No, she's right there. Oh. No, she's right there. Not right now, Representative, sir. Yes, ma'am. May I ask that you speak really close to the microphone, please? Your name and your address, please.
My name is Valerie Levy. I live at 159 Mather Avenue in Branford Manor. And we've lived there for 6 months, just my daughter and I. We relocated from Washington State to come to the East Coast. We've been on maybe 20 or more other waiting lists, not just in Connecticut, but just on the East Coast, because we were needing to leave, and Branford Manor happened to be the one that opened up. Now that we have lived there for the duration of time we have, I'm scared of living there, and we don't have any other options. We live on a fixed, limited income with no other support. We're a large family of 2, just her and I, and nobody else, no other supports. Very little friends that we build along the way. And the way that I worry about being scared of living there is I worry about that the complex is not structurally sound, that mold is just a side effect of this complex in the 70s was built on a marsh land. And I understand if people build it and they make mistakes, and they're like, hang on a second, we need to come in and we need to make some corrections. That's one thing, but it's been over 40 years, it hasn't been done. And instead what people do is they come in and maybe they put a new kitchen in, or they put some paint on things, or they do this or do that. I don't feel that the government's money and the people's money is being spent properly and appropriately, and it's being mishandled. And I very much worry about the structure, the foundation, that it's not safe to live there. I mean, yesterday my neighbor was testifying about her lips turning blue. But what about my daughter? And what about younger babies? You know, if people want to stigmatize me, or people want to stigmatize my older neighbors, please don't stigmatize my daughter and the babies and everybody else. They should have a chance at life too. And we kind of just took a big leap of faith. We came here with just our suitcases, we built our lives, and I'm scared of staying. I'm scared of living here, and people, I wish I was better with words. I'm sorry, it's kind of intimidating. I'm sorry, I keep looking
fine.
at you.
You're
but
doing well. You're
sorry,
doing great.
You just became my focus.
You're
so.
good.
But even though there's no visual mold in my home presently, like my neighbor had a fire, and that could have been really bad. And today I found out I have no smoke detector downstairs, and they put a new one in. And there were no fire stops, which I had never heard of fire stops, you know? And so my neighbor should have had them, and they just came in and just put them in our stovetop thing. You know, we could have lost our home. But there's a million other things, because it's not just the mold. It's not just whether people have access to basements or not. It's the structure of the complex is compromised, and I feel that this is a condemnable complex. There was, in a different meeting, not here at one of Branford meetings, somebody had brought up how a different complex, they came in and I don't know, I'm guessing they condemned the place and they gave everybody portable vouchers.
I'm sorry, you have 30 seconds left.
Okay, thank you very much. And so hopefully anything I have said is helpful. I'm sorry, I wish I could have said it better, but it's kind of hard. So, and sorry my daughter disrupts the meeting.
She's not disruptive at all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could just state your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Christina Tejeda. I live at 194 Branford Avenue in Branford Manor as well. Just today, I woke up seeing a neighbor of mine's that shares a wall with me, and they gutted her basement and took out mold, and it was in plastic bags. I have pictures of it. We're not even being informed about this. Our children are living and they're breathing, and us as well, mold. I've lived in Branford 4 years since I've moved here from New York. My kids have really bad asthma, allergies. One of my kids break out in hives for no reason. I've taken him to the doctor. They can't figure out what it is, and I feel like it's the mold. Not just the mold is an issue, it's just everything's an issue. I've took pictures of dead rats on the complex, sent it to the office. They would take 24 hours to 40 hours to remove them. Our kids are playing in the grass. They have work that gets done by contractors, and they leave behind shards of metal. Our kids play in the parking lots. They play in front of our house. The complex in general is not safe. When they do construction, they leave stuff around. They don't think about our safety or our well-being there. The fact that my neighbor removed 3 bags of sheetrock with mold and I wasn't informed about it, it scares me because I've had multiple leaks. They tell you let it dry out and they'll seal it up. And in your mind, you think that there's not gonna be any mold growing. And then when I visually seen it today, I've been like on edge all day because I'm just like, I moved my kids here to get sick. And as a parent, what do? As a parent, you're supposed to protect them, and this is something that's really out of my hands. When you speak to management about it, you get bullied. You get threatened to be taken to court. You are told, well, if you don't like it, move. Well, I can't move. I have no choice. This is where I have to live. I moved from New York here with no family, no additional help. It's just me and my 3 boys. I'm doing the best that I can with what I have, but I should be able to live somewhere safely. I should be able to have clean water, not have to run my water for 5 minutes because it's orange, or have to air out my apartment because I smell mold coming from the basement and throughout the rest of the unit. It's scary. Like, just the thought that I moved them into this place thinking I was giving them a better life, overall, I really didn't, because it's affecting them in other ways. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the list is Ramonita. Is that correct?
Hello, my name is Ramonita Ramos, and I also live in Branford Manor. I live in 44 Branford Avenue. And I understand I'm coming here, as I did yesterday, knowing that I may receive a notice to quit, as 7 out of the 10 apartments where I live received one for speaking with the city politicians. Our issue, as well as my apartment, is also falling apart. I am one of the few that actually, I pay over $1,000 to live there a month. They are taking away our basements, and my mother passed away, and all of her belongings are in the basement. And they told me that I have to get rid of my trash from my basement by July 15th. If not, they will have someone come into my apartment and remove it, and it would be at my cost. As I am a single mother as well of a 10-year-old, they also, when they did renovations, my water in my kitchen is reversed. My cold water is hot, my hot water is cold. I cannot use my dishwasher. I have a hole in my ceiling that was just patched up, and now I have a water bubble right underneath it. I have lived there for almost 9 years, and no matter how much I've told them that I have peeling paint, I have outlets that do not work, they do not come in and fix anything. They have threatened me because my brother used to work for maintenance there, and he has an active lawsuit with them. They have given my sister a notice to quit because of my brother having the active lawsuit. They do threaten you. I had an annual inspection in my apartment, and because I met with the mayor, I received another notice that I'm gonna have another annual inspection, this time for my basement, which I don't understand why they haven't checked everything. But it's just, it's hard because every day we get a new notice in there, and it's threatening. It's telling us that pretty much if you don't like it, you have to leave. I had one of the ladies in the office actually go to my job, to my workplace in New London, to have me sign a paper that I hadn't signed, and she sat there and she backdated it 3 years prior because my chart was going to be audited. And I just don't understand how all of our tax money is going into the city and no one's helping us at all. We've spoken to HUD, we have spoken to Connecticut for Housing, we have spoken to Ledgelight, and every time, the next day, someone gets a notice to quit, an eviction process. Like, no one is listening to us. And prior to this meeting, we were told that there's nothing you guys can do for us, but I'm hoping that us spreading the word will help someone help us. We're screaming for someone to help us. And I just feel like, as a mom, my son is, I protect him. And it's frustrating because they take everything that you have. They use my 401k as income, like money that I do not have. And it's frustrating, and it's hard
because we have nowhere to go. There's no more affordable housing anywhere. So if any of you guys know anyone that can help us, we are asking just for someone to help, to shed light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Letitia. Sorry, Latasha? Is it Latasha? My apologies.
Hi, I'm Latasha Barrage. I live at 254 Branford Avenue here in Groton. I too am one of the people that is here for mold. I know a lot of you probably don't care or don't really want to hear what I'm here for today, but because of my child, I'm here to stand and to speak out anyway. As you can hear, my voice is very raspy. It wasn't always this way until I moved into Branford Manor. I have a lot of respiratory issues. I have issues with asthma. I never had issues with asthma until I moved there. I brought pictures last night to show the mold that was corroded in my apartment, which they have covered up with paint as they do with every other thing. I started this journey last year. Well, I've been there for 12 years, but last year I began to speak out. I reached out to representatives, I reached out to the mayor, I reached out to different ones. No one would do anything. Ledgelight came out, took pictures, there was nothing that they could do. I wrote an article in the paper, and that's when it began to get a little bit of attention. This year, Senator Blumenthal came to my house, and even he was appalled at the conditions that my apartment is in, but yet these people still are able to stand here and continue to collect money that they do nothing with. They've had people to come in and supposedly to reconstruct the place. Everything fell apart that they put in there. Nothing in there was really, it's almost like I fixed everything myself. The people are there. What they do is when we speak out, I too am one of the ones who got a letter to acquit. They tried to say I didn't pay rent. When they found, once the article came out, they brought up that I didn't pay rent to try to use. So I had to go and bring up all the things, all my receipts to show that I had paid rent because they had cashed every one of the checks. Then they tried to bring up something from the past to say that didn't happen, that wasn't in my hand, and they tried to use that, which could not work. I'm looking now for paperwork for them. They keep sending the wrong paperwork, so I can't get the paperwork in on time. All this is due as lashback from me coming to speak. We have tenants that would want to be here, but they're so afraid they won't even come to the same side of the street if you're out there talking. The bottom line is our children and our health is being affected. Daily, we're breathing in this mold, which is being covered up. They have people that are not authorized to fix these apartments, and they're fixing them. And we just need help. If there's anybody, like she said, that you know that could help us, if there's anybody that could come in, when you go home at night and you lay down, you don't have to worry about these things. You're breathing comfortably. You know that your children is fine, but we don't know that. We know with a guilty conscience that we are in a place where our children's breathing and health is being affected. And as a mother, there's nothing I can do about it because I didn't plan on having this be my life. I had a great job at Pfizer's. I took care of the adults with disabilities, and I developed lupus after I had my daughter. After that, I'm unable to work, so I am on Social Security disability. I am on very limited income. I am not eligible for food stamps, and everything that I do on my own. My daughter's father left long before she was 1 year old, so it's been me and her. So I ask that you find in your heart to please, if you can, please think about the community of Branford Manor, and please help us out. We're just crying for help. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Shante Duzant.
Good evening, members of the RTM and residents of Groton that are here. My name is Shantae Duzant. I live at 20 Nathan Hale in Groton. I'm here in support of the residents that came out last night and tonight that live in Branford Manor. I first heard of what was going on a few weeks ago after the first article in the newspaper, and it brought back a lot of memories for me. I moved into Branford Manor in 2007 as a single mom, and I went through a lot of the same problems that the current residents are going through. So it is personal for me. My kids grew up there. We left in 2018 after my rent increased to $400 or $500 more than I was paying without any justification. During my time when I lived there, there was mold in my bathroom that got painted over if I complained about it. Many times if I did complain about anything, any maintenance issues, you kind of get targeted, you get bullied, you get threatened with the littlest violation, you get threatened to with eviction. And this is a normal practice, and this was from 2017 to 2018 when I lived there. Since then, in my understanding and how these residents have brought awareness to this situation, they're going through a lot more than I went through. Their conditions in their homes have deteriorated despite the renovations that happened a few years ago, which were very poor. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, many of the workers that were there were not even certified. They literally just covered everything up. They put something, they didn't gut anything, they just put stuff over what was already there. None of the infrastructure was fixed, none of the electrical wiring was fixed. It was just like putting a Band-Aid over something. These residents are living in unsafe conditions, life-threatening conditions, in my opinion, and they deserve to be heard. They deserve they deserve to be helped. They pay taxes. Branford Manor currently has a tax abatement, and so they're supposed to be using that money to fix the place up, maintenance, whatever you want to call it. And I don't think any of that is going on. Management, I would like to bring attention to management who are very unprofessional, who are very disrespectful to their residents, and they also talk about residents, so there's no privacy. They will talk about the residents to anyone. When I lived there, I gave birth to my daughter. She developed asthma, really bad asthma, at six months old. I had to rush her to the hospital. She wasn't breathing. Since moving out of there, about 3 or 4 years now, she's practically asthma-free. It only exists on her medical records. We no longer use a nebulizer. She's kind of asthma-free, and I didn't have the courage to speak out like these residents did back then. And it makes me wonder what may have caused her condition, since it is practically non-existent now. So I am pleading to the members of RTM and anyone that is here that to urge and to put pressure on anyone that they can to help to investigate what is going on at Branford Manor. Our taxes go there, they have tax relief, and so we deserve some kind of transparency. Why rents are going up, why the conditions are unsafe, and why particularly there is mold there that is not being addressed and is being hidden. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Portia Bordelon.
I will hold my comments and let the online folks go before me.
I have Christine Santos. Elizabeth Keniston.
She is online. Oh, looks like.
Yeah, that's what,
These are the three names I have.
yeah, I have. She's muted though.
She's unmute, or she needs to unmute.
Ms. Keniston,
She needs to unmute.
can you unmute, please? Elizabeth Keniston.
Unmute. There she goes.
Yes, hi, I'm here. I do not have a comment.
Okay, thank you. Catherine Pruitt.
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Hi, Catherine Pruitt. I live at 161 Mather Avenue in Branford Manor as well. I don't know, can you guys see me as well, or is it just audio?
No, we can hear you. Go
Just
ahead.
audio?
Go
Okay,
ahead, we'll
thank
work on
you.
that.
I am here also in support of all of the other residents in Branford Manor. I myself have only been there about 7 months now. However, I do already have mold coming in over my shower. I myself live there with my 2 daughters. We have no other options in the area to go, so our hands are tied. We have to live in Branford Manor, or we have to move away because there is no affordable. And can I say, by affordable, $1,100 a month is not affordable for a single mother making minimum wage, even at the 40 hours a week that I work. So by affordable, we need more housing for lower income families, because the options that are here, like Branford Manor, do not take care of their residents. And I would like to also echo everything that all of the other residents have said. We do not feel respected. We do not feel seen. We feel dehumanized. And it's just getting worse. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Luann Leary.
Just one sec, I'll promote her to panelist. If you give me
Sorry,
a
one
moment.
moment. Luann Leary.
Hello?
Yes.
It's stuck as attendee.
Hello?
Your address, we can hear you. Your name and address, please, if you want to speak.
My name is Luann Leary, and I live at 222 Branford Ave. I just want to start to say that my heart goes out to the residents who are here and have spoken up and going through this with mold. Their children too, so heartfelt. I pray something gets done and change. Much needed help. I've lived here for about 5 years, and my first apartment I had on Mather Ave. We didn't have basements, we had crawl spaces. And apparently the main pipe burst on both ends and was leaking for, I had heard, 3 years. In that time, our flooring buckled up in spots. We had to get subflooring put in, which ended up coming up as well. And ultimately we had mold professionals come in and our whole L got moved. Since then, my new apartment is okay. I just have that leaking paint stuff that people mentioned. And I questioned my basement because I was never allowed to go in my basement since I've been here. And a previous neighbor of mine had seen my basement and they mentioned there was mold, and they slapped sheetrock over it, and it's been closed off. And that was before even the letters came out about the basement. So to me, they're hiding something. Because when it gets really hot and muggy, my stairs smell of mold. I really hope that something gets done, and I pray for every single one in here dealing with it. Even the ones that aren't talking up, I pray. Thank you.
Thank you. Portia Bordelon?
Portia Bordelon, 24 Jefferson Drive, Groton, Connecticut. I'm here tonight as a resident, but also as a town councilor.
A little bit more, please.
Thank you. I'll handle it. I'm getting there. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You don't need to be disrespectful.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying I was getting it. Thank you. 24 Jefferson Drive, Groton, Connecticut. As a person who served on this RTM body, we do have an obligation to represent our citizens. We have representatives here from District 2 and District 3 that are elected to serve and represent the city of Groton. For full disclosure, as a child, I lived in a foster home in Brantford Manor. I went to Westside Middle School and I walked every day. I lived in those same conditions over 20 years ago. It was a problem then, and nobody would speak up. Folks came out last night and we didn't have a chance at the town council to speak under citizens' responses. But to sit up there and feel the pressure and the pain that single mothers are going to in our town, and fathers for that sake, under these conditions, with no help, no guidance, no support. As we did more research, we find out that the town and the city of Groton are abating taxes to the owner. I repeat, the town and the city are abating taxes to this property owner. How much, you wonder? When I asked last night, possibly $300,000 to $400,000 from the town, an undisclosed amount from the city, but not to the same capacity. So let's do simple math here. Let's not add the city's amount. Let's add just what the town's abated. Since they signed this contract in 2017, over $2-point-something million has been abated. My question to the town manager, how much of their taxes are we abating? That's a question you guys can ask. That's a question I'll be sending in my email. Abating these taxes, say in the document here that I have in front of me, and I encourage you guys to ask for the document. The document in good faith says, real property tax incentive agreement for the, keyword, improvement and operation of the low-income subsidized rental housing. As you read through this document, it states, they will make sure the playgrounds are maintained. They will provide space for the town to come in and bring in support services, ARPA funding perhaps that we have. One of the things that I scream about all the time in the human service line, and I get the eye roll from the RTM, and sometimes on the council when I speak up about this is what I'm speaking about. This is where my heart and passion is. This is why I ran for office, to speak up for the people who do not have a voice in this town, and they're not looking for infrastructure or high-dollar apartments on one side of town. We had a meeting last night looking at housing, low-income housing, a plan. We don't have a plan. They say that we have a high enough percent, but do we? People have spoke tonight and spoke about the fact for single mothers, Brantford is the only option for them. If we're adding in the low-income housing for seniors, women under the age of 55 can't live there. I urge this town to look at the tax abatement that we are abating, possibly $500,000. Have you seen the playgrounds? Drive through Brantford, drive through Mather Ave. Ask these residents if you can see their units. One of the women last night had a picture of the cabinets coming off. The whole back of the wall was black from ground to ceiling. I encourage this RTM, as the elected officials, to also watch last night's meeting and watch the public comment. There's enough information there, and if it doesn't bring you to tears, I will be shocked. There are ways that we can help this community. We must act now. Mold is a link between ADHD, attention deficit disorder, lupus, asthma, cancer, thyroid conditions. The list goes on. These people are just trying to live and call the apartment complex and ask that they fix basic needs that we take for granted. I ask that the RTM put pressure on the town manager and the town council, and that's coming to me, to look into this document and figure out ways that we can withhold taxes to put pressure on this large corporation. I spoke to the town manager. He said he was not aware of this document. The council was not aware of this document that was signed in 2017. I asked for better oversight. If we're going to go in under the previous town manager and sign documents with the city manager, mayor in the city as well, we need to have a plan. It's one thing to sign a document. It's another to uphold it. We can sign a document all we want, but if we're not upholding it, we're not doing our due diligence. I, as a counselor, committed myself to these residents, and I will make sure that everything that I can do to support them and make sure if we're abating $400,000.
Thank you,
well,
Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. If we're abating,
You're done. Thank you.
Close my
No,
remark.
you're done. Thank you. 5 minutes.
If we
You're
can
done.
abate $400,000,
Councilor Bordelon,
I'm
you
going
are
to close
done.
my remark like we let
Please.
everybody.
You are
if
done.
we can
Please.
abate $400,000, we can make sure our residents are safe. I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. And you know what? It's embarrassing that you were going to vote on trying to make people only speak for 3 minutes.
Please have a seat.
Exactly. Point of order that. Inappropriate. Raise your hand and not let the people speak tonight.
Andre Baumgartner. Andre Baumgartner, you're up. Excuse me, I'm going to ask again that you please keep your comments so that people online and people in the room can hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, Mr. Manager, Madam Moderator, and RTM members. It's great to be with you all as one of your ex officio members. I seldom use the
Name and address, please.
Yes, I apologize, I was getting there. Andre Baumgartner, 544D Shinnecossett Road in Groton City, District 2. Hope all is well. It's great to be before the RTM as an ex officio member. As I mentioned, I seldom use this opportunity to talk to the RTM, and it's great to be with you all, especially many of the new members. Congratulations on completing the budget process. I can certainly sympathize with you a lot of long nights and evenings, and so thank you for your service to our community. I'm here to speak on 2 issues this evening. I'll start with one that should be rather brief, the issue of SDR, short-term rentals. We heard from no shortage of folks last night regarding the proliferation of short-term rentals within Groton, particularly in Mystic. I share this with you because there is a significant possibility that the council could send an ordinance your way regarding increased regulations on short-term rentals. I do believe we need to have increased oversight and regulation on short-term rentals, in particular significantly reducing the number of short-term rentals within residential communities that have proliferated, driving up costs of purchasing homes for families, really changing the fabric of neighborhoods. What are traditionally neighborhoods with families are becoming, quickly becoming unaffordable summer communities. So I hope we can continue to collaborate on those issues just as we have in the past. With respect to the Branford Manor issues, we've, last night at the council, heard from over 24 residents in Branford Manor. I've never, in my time in politics, have ever seen so many residents from Branford Manor speaking out so forcefully about living conditions in Branford, which are nothing new. Certainly the mold issues, as have been referenced. Certainly the quality of life issues, the retaliation that residents are seeing from the property management. It's absolutely unacceptable and deplorable. As I made a referral several weeks ago now to our mayor and the town council as a whole to hold Branford Manor Preservation LP in default. Now you may be asking, what the heck does the RTM have to do with this? Obviously, if you know, you've been around the block, not very much. But again, When you have an opportunity to speak to the public and folks who are elected officials, it's important to know what's happening in your community. And we have neighbors who are struggling right now, who need our help, who need to bring attention to this matter. But what can the RTM do? The RTM can certainly partner with the council to improve programming, our Parks and Recreation programming. There are several parents I've talked to about, what can we do just as a community to provide relief? And, we have summer programs right now where some families can barely afford, even $250 to send their kids to a summer camp. And some parents, because they don't have the choice, are spending over $2,000 on summer programs because they work 2 or 3 jobs. And if they don't have any child care during the day, their kids are going to fall through the foot cracks, and they cannot afford to take that risk. So I just implore the RTM and certainly any elected official in this community that, even if you don't have the power to directly change something like, pass a tax stabilization agreement that provides hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to a Forbes 185th rank, billionaire, Stephen Ross, owner of related companies, who owns the Miami Dolphins. That's where our money, that is who Branford Manor residents pay their rent to, and that individual is withholding tax dollars to our hardworking, to our town, and as a result, our hardworking taxpayers have to pay more. Not one of you who own a home here get a special tax abatement for your house. I certainly wasn't here to pass that agreement, but I think it's long past time we revisit it. With that said, I very much look forward to continuing to work with the RTM. I know the summer is here upon us, and hope you at least get to enjoy it a little bit. Thank you for your time, and it's been an honor to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of clarification? I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. As it was said, the RTM does not have much that they can do for you, but I appreciate your voice being heard tonight. Report of the town manager.
If people want to hold out just for another minute, I was going to touch on Branford Manor myself, if you want to hold for a couple minutes. First, the finance report. Fund balance as of May 31st, 2022 remains unchanged from June 30th, 21, and is approximately $28.8 million, which is 20.9% of the FYE 22 general fund adopted budget. The general fund contingency budget for FY22 is appropriated at $350,000, with a current balance of $236,452 after transfers pending approval. And then the capital reserve fund as of May 31st, 22 is at $1.3 million. Now going on to my report, just to mention, it was mentioned about the affordable housing plan, and when it was mentioned about having enough. What they're talking about is the technical definition by the state. However, it's all agreed in the plan that we need more affordable housing, true affordable housing. To that effect, staff is actually meeting with the Housing Authority tomorrow to continue discussions on what options are out there. Branford Manor, a couple, it's a bit complicated in terms of the legalese from the town. We have certain things we have to say on, certain things we don't per agreement. We have to document everything before we could go into default, declare default. And if we don't handle it right, what could happen is we could be in court. So we got to be very careful how we handle it. But I will share some of, if we could have a few minutes, I'll share some of what I sent to the, of course, Mayor Hedrick has been working on this from the city. He brought me in a couple weeks ago. I know he's working hard, and of course our counselors here, who they each put out new referrals last night. But some of what I sent to Branford Manor this morning, and again, a lot of this is the things city is looking at too. I mentioned things that are definitely under our purview by our tax abatement, which involves maintenance and those type of issues. So I mentioned the water leaks, the mold, the wart floors, that type of thing. For those apartments that have reported more extreme mold or health issues, I've asked that that they actually get, what's the word I use? To actually get professional testing done to see what the levels are, what has to be done for remediation, not painting over things, not just moving on from it. And if I would like them to pay, if not, I will seek funding from the town to help do some of that testing. Maintenance personnel, it was obvious from some of the photos that maintenance is not done right in a lot of instances, so I recommended increasing the requirements for experience and getting people in who can do what's needed to be done. It was mentioned about locks not being secure enough, needing heavy duty once I mentioned that. And then per the agreement, the town can do site visits. Now, it's important to note the building department is under the city, so that our building department doesn't have oversight, but the cities do, but we can still come in and look at things. And so I'm setting up a site visit, and my intent is to annually set up a site visit of random locations chosen there by the town. And I know, and just to mention, Mayor Hedrick has seen all this and called me and said he agrees with all that too, and a lot of it he's been working on too. In terms of management, now that's not under our agreement, but we do have some leverage. Number one, there should be expectations from you, talking to Branford, for management to be courteous to tenants and be there to help the tenants. Notices to quit, there's been many allegations of receiving notices to quit after making complaints. Obviously, that's not legal, and I'll trust you to ensure that does not happen. Paperwork, there's been a lot of reports of missing paperwork. I said if there are instances of that, you should consider a moratorium on any notices until that's figured out. Backdating paperwork, that obviously should not happen. Rent increases, they may fall under the town's fair rent commission. We're looking at that, and if so, I would like all tenants notified of that option to appeal to them. Talked about the improper notices. Now Branford is putting together a new form. There's a tenants meeting on June 29th, I think it is, wherever that Wednesday is, at 11, and another one at 5, which I will be at. I think a lot of the council members will be there too. But they are doing a new form, a new process apparently. And then just a couple of general comments like the basement use. I just put if leases have in there that there's access to the basement, that should be continued. If you are removing a right, then rent should be appropriately reduced. If basement access is not currently allowed, I'd like to see a compromise on allowing at least some storage and use of it. And then I mentioned the playgrounds too. And as people talk tonight, I've been making notes along the way. And Mayor Hedrick did send a link to the comments from last night and pointed out to Branford and pointed out where in the video to look at the comments. And I'm sure we'll do that for tonight too. So that's what I have for Branford. We are taking it very seriously, and I expect the council will be heavily involved. And I promise you, we are sympathetic and do everything we can. Thank you. Gloucester Elementary, there was a visiting session earlier this week. Great turnout. Some RTM members, council members, lots of public. That's just the first step in looking at what to do with Gloucester Elementary. There's a lot of ideas out there, so that work will continue. I expect that format will continue on with other projects in the future. To mention, I have an unfortunate announcement, and you probably all know Cindy Landry. This is her last month. She's retiring, and there's a cake for after the meeting over here. Please say congratulations to Cindy. I'll definitely be lost without her. So, yeah. Groton Long Point Bridge, that conceptual plan will be coming to the town council on June 14th. Groton Long Point will be there in attendance also, so that's coming up. Let's see, and then Nautilus Dock contractor has finally received the shop drawings for the dock. There's a long lead time for the floating dock though, so that won't be here until mid-November, and then 4 to 6 weeks of construction. So March 31st, 23 is the given completion date. And I do expect the council, Planning and Zoning Commission is working on STRs, and I expect the council very quickly will be working on, they were very close to our ordinance prior, and I expect that hopefully we can continue quickly on from that. And that's what I have.
Thank you. The Economic Development Report was attached to your agenda and also sent to you in an email. The Superintendent of Schools is not here, so we're moving on to Liaison Reports.
Madam Moderator, do we have questions for the Town Manager?
I'm so sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Thank you.
Representative
Just a
Thomas?
quick question to follow up. What is the percentage of that tax abatement out of the whole taxes that Branford Manor would pay?
I'll have to check with the assessor. I don't know off the top of my head. I know, though, she had said previously, and unfortunately she's out of town right now, but I know it is about $300,000 to $400,000 they're saving, last I heard.
Roughly,
at least
is that
with
like
the new
25%?
assessment. I think that was predicted with the new assessment, but I don't know off the top of my head, though, how much they are actually paying, but I can find that out.
Well, how much would they pay if they didn't have the abatement?
That's what I'm saying. I'll have to find out.
Thank you.
Representative Sir?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to double check the information that you gave. Did you say we have a fair housing commission?
Yes.
And so they would be the people who would be responsible for basically taking complaints and addressing them in our town?
Yes, if there's, looks like there's an unduly high rent increase, yes.
I see.
And
So
they have power to bring people
that
in.
would
They can
include
actually,
both living conditions and
not living,
rents.
it's based on the rent and
Just the
and
rent.
reasons for the rent, yes.
So who's in charge of bad living conditions? Is that
Well, health department for certain issues and the city's building department for other issues.
in the city's department?
Building
Nobody in town?
No, because we don't have jurisdiction in the city for building.
I see. But yet, we're giving them the tax abatement, so does that give us any kind of leverage? Because
Yeah,
obviously,
because they're doing,
the
right.
city doesn't seem to have done very much yet, so how can we add our leverage is what
And-
I'd like to know.
And I will disagree that I do think Mayor Hedrick's done a lot and is working hard at it. But and as I mentioned the things I said to Branford Manor, that's part of us trying to use our leverage. We're instigating that process.
Representative Aubrey had her hand up. Representative Aubrey? No? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The new RTM was constituted here in December, and I have yet to see the superintendent of schools at a meeting, except for the budget session. So why does she never show up?
We can request her to come.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on to liaison reports. Town Council Representative Jacome.
Nothing to report, to be included in the agenda.
Okay. Representative Bright.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah. The first meeting of the Citizen and Police Committee was held on 2 May 2022 in Town Hall Annex Community Room 3. The meeting was called to order at 5:31 p.m. Committee members present were Chair Dela Cruz, Erickson, Ortega, Parfit, and Chief Fiscaro. Others present were Councilor Kassiri, Deputy Chief Gates, Captain McCarthy, and Captain B. As an introduction, people presented themselves, introduced themselves, and gave a short background, a short brief on their background. And then they did hold some discussions on things like mission statement, recent police activities, body cameras, committee appointment letters, a possible name change rather than the Citizen and Police Committee. They talked about police recruiting and how difficult it is, police policies, the homeless problem, mental health problems, police staffing. Presently, we're short 7 officers and 4 dispatchers, and the training for new people. And the meetings will be held bi-monthly with the next meeting, 11 July 2022, and the meeting was adjourned at 6:07 p.m.
Thank you. Representative Aubrey for Economic Development. One moment, please. I'll get back to you.
The only thing I wanted to mention tonight is that the Economic Development is trying very hard to create a business meeting. It's the 3rd Thursday of the month. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd be happy to get the address out to anybody. It's down on Thames Street. I don't know the name of the building. It's where Peter Hoops used to have his office. What's that?
Close to the corner of
There's a
Bridge
doctor
and
down there
Thames.
that's pretty busy too. But it's really important, if you're going somewheres and you know the owner of the business, talk with them, encourage them to become part of that. They're kind of formulating it after the Groton Business Association that we used to have. And we did a lot of good. And so I'm hopeful that people will be supportive of it, and as it grows, we can address problems, not like what we have here tonight, certainly, but things that business people are running into. You know, I know it's all in the past, but it's something that has been discussed as just an example of it. At one time, they decided that every restaurant had to change their equipment for grease disposal, which was very expensive. And we were able, as a group, to come up with an alternate solution. So that's why something like this is very important, because otherwise you don't know about these problems. And so the Economic Development Department would be very happy if people supported that. And I think that's the most important thing right now. They've got a lot of things they're talking about and a lot of things that they're working on, but the committee is the one that's working on this project. Thank you.
Representative Casper, do you have a Gulf report? I'm going to wait until I get through all the liaisons and then we'll go back. Representative Casper, do you have a Gulf report?
Yes, Madam Moderator, the Gulf Advisory Board meeting scheduled for Monday was postponed due to Zoom technical issue. I do have financials for April and May that I can report on.
Okay.
April revenue was $227,151, which was $22,000 more than last year. Year to date through April was $1,068,010, which was $14,000 below revenue for last year. However, May was a good month. May total revenues $205,459, which was $54,000 over last year. The to date through May, total revenue is $1,273,469, which is about $30,000 over last year, which was a good year. And to give over the last 4-year average, it's $422,000. So the golf course is continuing to be popular, and results are showing on the bottom line.
Thank you. Representative Chase, am I remembering correctly? No? Thank you. Any other liaisons that I'm missing? Okay, questions, Representative Cerf.
Yes, I had a question for Representative Bright. I watched the very beginning of the committee meeting, and I had to go do something else, but I happened to notice that there were apparently no minority groups, people representing minority groups in that committee. And I do believe that the intention of the RTM at the time when the committee was suggested was to do that, to include people, who normally wouldn't have a voice, such as the Branford Manor people who came here tonight. And so the idea, I would have thought, would be to include at least a few minority committee members in that committee. Was there any discussion of that during the meeting?
No.
There wasn't. Well,
I can bring it up next time.
okay, that would be good, because it kind of turns anything the RTM does in good faith on its head if something like that, is completely ignored, I think. Be nice to have.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hey.
Representative Thomas.
Oh yeah, this is also a question for Representative Bright. I was wondering if there's any discussion on community outreach into populations that feel adversarial, have adversarial relations with police.
Well, they did talk about the recent police activity and how they were trying to outreach.
Was
Can
there
you
any
grab a
discussion
microphone?
about communities that were historically having trouble or had registered complaints? Or was there any discussion about how the board, how that committee could help improve relations between pockets of the community that have a more abrasive relationship with the police?
No, it wasn't, but I can certainly bring it up at the next meeting.
I think that would be good, because
Okay.
that is the intent of the group. Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Finance, Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Can you hear me good?
You got it really close.
Good? No good? Good?
Talk really loud.
Talk really loud, okay.
Please,
I'll
thank
try.
you.
We had a Finance Committee special meeting. It adjourned on Wednesday, the 25th of May at 6 p.m. And we called to order at 6:04. The roll call was Representative Chase, Jacome, Gardner, Fritchie, and Powers. Excused absences were Scott and Norman. Our fourth quarter transfers were the first on our list. The resolutions for the fourth quarter transfers were read by Representative Chase. Discussions proceeded with voter registrations expenses for the Democratic primary, legal services on delinquent taxes, human resources due to 2 retirements. We discussed the caps on sick days, accrued time for retirement. In order to move the final account, we initially broke the votes down and went individually. Then we had to move the whole number, so we took a vote on the whole number. I asked, Chairman Powers asked for a motion to be made. Representative Chase moved $104,548. It was seconded by Representative Jacome. The motion passed 4 in favor. Representative Chase, Jacome, Fitzy, and Powers. 1 opposed, Representative Gardner, 0 abstentions.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is, do you want
To move $104,548 for fourth quarter transfers.
I'm sorry, it was seconded by Representative Adams. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of moving $104,538 in a fourth quarter transfer?
Aye.
Online, if you could raise your hand if possible. I got everyone in the room. Okay. So online, I have Casper, Whitney, Eben, Scott, Ivy, Bailey, Guimpero. I do not have Representative Crockett Hubbard or Whitney.
Aye.
Okay. Representative Whitney, did you have your hand up and took it down?
Got a hand. Get it, I just saw it.
Okay, thank you. All opposed? Representative Gardner? And Representative Eben had her hand up before, correct? Okay, just want to make sure I was correct on that. All those abstaining? I'm going to note Representative Cerf was not in the room at the time. She was out when we started the vote. She was out of the room. She walked back in.
No, I was listening to the speaker back here.
Oh,
She voted.
did you vote? I'm sorry, I did not see your hand. Thank you. So we have, how many do we have right now? Sorry.
We have 30, 29.
So we have 28 in favor, 1 opposed, no abstention.
Who seconded that?
Adams. Okay. Chair Powers.
The next order of business was 2022-352, the ordinance changing and redefining voting districts in the town of Groton. Chairman Powers asked Representative Jacome to read a complete ordinance into the record, which we did. Manager Venditti discussed the map she brought to explain the districts, which will be adopted to conform with the 2021 plan of congressional districting approved by the state of Connecticut Supreme Court. She explained the differences in the area, what had changed, what hadn't, was pretty straightforward. Chairman Powers called for a vote, 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed.
So when it comes to ordinance, just a reminder, ordinances pass unless we vote against them.
Yes, we
So we
veto.
don't make a motion to vote for them. The only thing we can do is make a motion to veto it. Correct. If you want to discuss it, there has to be a motion on the floor.
To veto.
Are there any motions on the floor? Representative Thomas?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'll make a motion to veto the ordinance.
Okay. There's a motion by Representative Thomas, seconded by Representative Pacino. Is there any discussion? Do you want to speak to your motion?
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we took the due diligence to discuss it and, have the vote. So, honestly, I think it's all just pretty much bookkeeping at this point. So, as long as, I'm not opposed necessarily to the ordinance. I just think we need to go through the process. Thank you.
Yes, Town Clerk.
Thanks. I just want to let you know that the Secretary of the State's office is aware of this ordinance, and the legislature, our legislature also is aware of this ordinance, and it's been scrutinized. Boy, oh boy.
Representative Wells.
So these boundaries are being drawn by, based on the population in the districts?
It's being done by population and by the voting districts for the state representatives.
Well, it's Congress.
Or Congress.
Because, I can't help but notice that this body is represented, only counts registered voters in apportioning districts. This representation is only
This
by registered
representation?
voters, not by population.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time really hearing you. I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you just
In
said?
other words, we have population numbers for these districts, total population.
Okay.
They didn't just make this up. They said, let's move this over here, and we'll put this over here because of, there was a nice highway boundary that made sense. It's based on the total population in this district. Everybody's looking puzzled.
Okay.
And so I'm just pointing out the contradiction between this body is apportioned by the number of registered voters, not the total population.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, though, to stick to this, the ordinance that we're talking about.
Well, I'd just like to know. We have those numbers.
I don't have those numbers on me.
No, I mean, not in your pocket, but I'm sure, but there is population numbers, and it's not like something that can't be determined.
Would you like to ask the town manager to get those for you?
I would like to get those numbers.
Oh, sorry.
Well, sometime, not right away, not tonight.
Okay, thank you, Representative Wells.
Thank you very much.
Representative Sir.
Actually, the fact that Representative Wells asked the question, I just realized that I have no idea why these districts are changed. Can you explain how often they're changed and who does the changing and for what reason?
I'm going to let the town clerk answer that question.
So we have a census, a nationwide census every 10 years. Ours, in 2020 went a little slower than normal, as we all know why. So the process from that is the United States Congress will look at the populations throughout the whole country and redraw their congressional lines. It's supposed to be based on population, but there's a lot of gerrymandering, as you all know, of how this happens. So then after the Congress passes what we have to deal with, then our state legislature has to adopt a plan. And they did on February 10th, and it was published on February 10th and then given to the towns. And so we have to have this. Well, it is done. It's finished. It was already it was finished on May 3rd, and now it's subject to a veto by virtue of being an ordinance. But I caution you, we're under law to have this actual document completed by the 15th of this month.
So it's basically a bipartisan issue that happens in Hartford. We're not really
I
involved.
would say it's.
Sort of
it's-
bipartisan.
Well, there is a law that they have to follow,
Yeah.
of course. But now, what changed in Groton is it's a very small amount, but anytime you change something, it's very difficult to adjust to. I don't like change, no one likes change. But it's a very small change if you read the ordinance at the very end, it tells you, the districts that are affected. And the registrar of voters will be sending out a notice to every registered voter in town to tell them where they're voting, whether there was a change or not.
Right.
So
And-
you'll be notified.
Yeah, and then we're going to have new voting places to go to, right? So
Right,
I'm saying this actually
It's just for-
anybody who's watching on television, you should be aware the next time you go vote, you might be in a different
Well,
location.
they're going to be
So
notified.
pay attention to the little card
Please
that
don't-
Betsy sends in the mail.
I won't be sending it. The registrar of
No?
voters will be sending it, but certainly if anybody has a question as we get close to August,
Right.
primaries, we're always there to answer
Yeah,
questions.
and you send your little cards in the mail.
The registrar will. Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Representative Thomas.
Just to clarify, when is the registrar going to come up with the determination on voting locations, the polling stations?
Boy, has that been announced yet?
I thought we did.
I thought
they
we
did,
had
yeah.
too. I thought it was
Yeah, I
our
don't
last
have it
council
with me,
meeting,
though.
or cow meeting where we were at. But my understanding is
I believe it's been
Thames
announced.
River
Magnet School.
Magnet School will be for District 2, and Mystic River Magnet School will be for District 6.
I remember that Thames River Magnet School. I don't remember the other one. I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm wrong.
All right, so where can people find that out for sure?
It should be on our website. I'm not in charge of the website
Mhm.
for the registrar, but that's where I would put it.
Can the town manager speak to that?
He's looking. Let me ask Kristen.
I'm asking for the people at home and as well as myself,
Well,
because it's my neighborhood,
it's a
one of
little
my neighbors, one of the
premature
ones that's
since
changing.
you have the ordinance that has,
Yeah.
we're a little premature for that bit, but
Mhm.
we might have a preview,
Right. All right, well, I mean, if it's not immediately available, then I guess it's not. but-
I'll keep looking at my computer.
Yeah,
we
I'm
have
gonna
bad
ask the
connections
registrar.
tonight, and
Right.
it keeps
If-
freezing.
If we can get like an email announcement out to the body,
Sure.
that'd be great. We can help get the word out
Yeah.
to our
Yep.
I'll
constituents.
get with the registrars to make sure I get the right things.
Representative Hanley.
Will the distribution of RTM members be changing at all?
We won't determine that until it's time for voting for our elections.
But anyone who is
That's
already,
based on registered voters.
anyone who is already in a district, even if it changes, they are still allowed to represent that district
Nobody lost there.
until the next election. All right, any other? So we are voting to veto ordinance 294, changing voting districts in the town of Broughton. All in favor?
Wait, it has to be
Oh,
roll
sorry.
call. You always have to do ordinance by roll call, because it takes 2/3.
Okay. You're
This is a
voting
vote
to
for.
veto it.
So if you want to veto, you vote yes. If you don't want to veto, you vote no.
We all clear? Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, what are they? She said, yes, they've been approved by the council. Oops. Okay, Representative Adams?
No.
Bailey?
No.
Bright? No. Casper?
No.
Surf? No. Chase? No. Crockett Hubbard?
No.
Eben? Representative Eben? No, I'll come back. Yeah, she is muted, but Representative Eben, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Fritchie? Representative Fritchie? Thank you. Gardner?
No.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
No.
Hainline?
No.
Hanscom? No. Ivy?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubrey?
No.
S. Powers?
No.
Pacino?
Yes.
Just for fun. Scott?
No.
Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
Yes.
V.C. Williams?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
No.
He's 30, we have 30. 26. And Rusk?
No.
Yes.
So that motion fails 2 to
20.
27 to 1.
So the next part of our
Could you
business,
repeat that vote, please?
Yes, it was 2 to 27 to 1. The motion fails.
Thank you.
Yes.
so the next agenda item was 2022-351, an ordinance number 295 for a tax abatement program for surviving spouses of police officers, firefighters, or emergency medical technicians. Chairman Powers asked Representative Chase, who made a motion to veto, to read into the record the ordinance, and Representative Gardner and Jacome also read pages of the ordinance for the committee to discuss the language. The discussion that took place was a very complicated ordinance with a variety of questions and discussions. The high points of it was the federal employee inclusion, along with the lifetime benefit of 100% abatement, the idea of excluding other employees and the different work scenarios with the loss of life and categorizing just our employees. The ordinance does explain certain things about surviving spouses and the scenarios behind that, but not every circumstance was addressed. It was quite a long discussion. I think we spent almost a full hour doing it. And I'm sure that this body will discuss this ordinance further this evening. So Chairman Powers asked for a vote on the veto as written. 5 were in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. Then we had a motion to adjourn by Representative Chase and seconded by Representative Jacome.
Okay, I'm going to ask if there are any clarifications or changes to the minutes before we move on to the next part. Seeing none, your minutes are approved.
Thank you.
And then do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for the minutes to be approved.
Oh, that's already
No,
done.
that's already been done.
We're done with that.
What do you want me to do?
Oh,
You want to put something on the floor?
do you want to, so once again.
Yes,
So
I
once
would.
again, we are either approving this as is, or we're vetoing, making a motion to veto, and then seconded and discussed. So it is, that is how this works.
Well, we vetoed it for specific reasons that I stated. I'd like to make a motion to veto it.
Okay, is there a
Is there
second?
a second?
Second by Representative Chase. Okay, do you want to,
No, I'd
Okay.
like the body to speak to the motion,
Okay.
because I've spoken in committee, and I think that I've spoken enough to understand why we sent the language back the way that we did. We don't like the language of it, and the abatement and the federal employees that are attached to this. I think it has to be rewritten differently in order for it to be approved by all of us in town. I think it's an abatement that we really have to be cautious with because of the different union contracts that we have and what we do when we categorize our employees in the town. Thank you.
thank you. Any questions or comments? Representative Thomas.
I would like to speak in favor of allowing this, well, let me get this right, okay. I'm speaking against the veto. I think it's sufficient as is, and it shows good support for the families of first responders and public safety. I think it's a great way to show support for our appreciation for public safety officers in whatever form they take and however they serve our community. So I think sending it back for language, I don't know. I don't think that's wise at this point. It's taken a while to get to this point. I think it's serviceable as is, and we should just carry on and in support of public safety, pass it. Thank you. Do not veto.
Representative Gustafson.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just have a question. Did it go through some legal review process with the town attorney?
Yes.
It did? Okay, thank you.
Representative Aubry, I thought you had your hand up next, and then Representative Surf.
Thank you. I think what we're attempting to do is a really honorable purpose. I do feel that we need something special for the people that put their lives on the line for us. But since there's some questions with it, in respect to my fellow RTM members, I will not go along with it as written, but I do want everybody to know I'm totally in favor of it if we can get a little more information on it. So thank you very much.
Representative Surf. Representative Surf.
Yes, I have a question for the town manager first, and then I'd like to follow up. I'd like to know if in your files or recollections or your research in drafting this, how many of these first responders in the town of Groton have actually died, say, in the last 20 years, say?
This is the only one that I know of. Do you know of anything else? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
This is the only one that I know of.
Only one? So, I really don't understand. In this case, we're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about, well, of course, this year it's going to be a lot more money because the property taxes can be much greater. But generally, a person's property taxes, even in Groton Long Point, or can't be more than $30,000 a year or whatever. So we're not talking about a huge amount of money. And it's so rare that it happens that I think personally, I mean, I'm in great admiration of first responders myself. I was a New Yorker when the 9/11 thing happened. I was working for Verizon, and we had to restore all the power, and actually I was in one of the buildings that got nicked by the World Trade Center. And I distinctly remember the dedication of those first responders and how many of them suffered actually almost fatally from all the fumes that they breathed in, all the people they tried to carry out. I mean, first responders are just amazingly dedicated to what they do, and their lives are on the line. Perhaps not in Groton because we're a fairly quiet little community, except when we start fighting together here. But I really believe that it's something symbolically very important that we could do to show our first responders that we really respect them and we're grateful to them. So many times we don't tell them how grateful we are. The firefighters who rush to every medical emergency, who often have to do it in the middle of the night, in terrible weather, the police. I just think it's the least we can do to show that we care about them and that we're grateful for what they do for us. And I hope the rest of you feel that way too. It's not that much money.
Representative Eben.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I wanted to ask Mr. Burt, and maybe it was said, but the audio cuts out every so often. It sounds like what I heard from Representative Surf, your answer to her, was there has only been one incidence of a first responder, police, or fireman dying in Groton in the last 20 years. Is that correct?
That's my
in the line of
understanding.
service
That's
that
my
would apply
understanding.
for this ordinance?
That's my understanding.
And I was just curious, what actually led to the development of this ordinance? Why was it crafted? Who brought it forward?
Mrs. Snyder had fought at the state level to get this in place for these families, and then she brought it to the attention of the town. I think it's been kicking around since before I even arrived here, and it's finally progressed forward.
Thank you.
Can I make a point of clarification? I do believe there were other officers who died. Representative Ford died, and there was somebody at the sub base, perhaps, that died. A firefighter
Yeah.
in line of duty.
In line of duty.
Yes. Representative Scott.
I just want a point of clarification with respect to this ordinance. This would only apply to an employee of the town or city of Broughton that died in the line of duty. We wouldn't be inviting firefighters or other first responders from other towns to come to Broughton if that situation has occurred in another town. This is strictly a Groton employee who passes in the line of duty in the town of Groton.
Well, it's for any ambulance service, police department or fire department with actual paid workers within the boundaries of the town. So it could be Groton ambulance, but no, somebody can't move. Somebody couldn't have this situation happen to them and then move into town and obtain it. No.
It includes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
It includes Groton Long Point Police, Groton City Police, sub-base police, any ambulance,
The two ambulance services,
firefighters.
firefighters in
Yes.
paid positions, right?
Correct.
First
Okay.
paragraph.
Representative Jacome had his hand up next, and then I think it was Chase, Merritt, and yeah, we'll keep moving on.
I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on. Light's on.
Jacome, Chase,
It's on the side.
What's on the top?
Merritt.
Loudly.
Oh, grab somebody.
Yeah, just grab a different one.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just because you're, I believe, thinking of possibly vetoing it does not mean, I would say, in my opinion, that you do not support our emergency workers. I rather think that we need to be looking diligently in the wording of the ordinance, as this is almost a law for the town. One question I'll ask the town manager is that this includes the New London sub-base, correct?
Right, if they're working and serving within the town boundary,
Okay.
yes.
I guess my understanding is that they are federal employees.
Correct.
So that's just something that wording, including federal employees, is concerning to me. And on top of that, I would ask that, how long did this go through the council? I know you've mentioned this at the finance committee, that it was, on the docket, so to say, for a year or two, but I would say that it was pushed through the council in 3 months, and even some things were added at the last council meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, it came up a couple of years ago. It was, discussed by several meetings at the town council. It failed to pass at that point, came back up. I'm trying to think how many meetings there have been. There was a few meetings, but yes, there was a couple. The federal change was made during the final meeting. So that was one change made at the end.
Thank you.
Though I will mention that at some point earlier had been just thrown out there as an idea, so it wasn't the first time it was ever discussed.
Yeah, so, just for me, stuff that is added last meeting without, I think, long-term discussion is something to take into consideration and to really think about before, passing something. All we're asking is possibly to send this back and maybe get reworded and actually get a second look, because I feel like it was rushed. Thank you.
I have Representative Chase next.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I agree 100% with Representative Jacome. There's a lot of things wrong with this document. I have nothing but the utmost respect for all first responders. I wouldn't be able to do that job. They are very special people. But 100% abatement, like Representative Cerf said, it could be $30,000. God forbid we have something happen here like happens in other states, and we have 4 or 5 people and they live in the higher rent districts of Groton. The taxpayers will have to pick up all of that tax. That's a lot of money, and we're all talking about higher taxes today. One of the other things is that one of the clauses in here is if you remarry, you lose the abatement, but if you divorce your second person, you get that abatement back. That happens in no other benefit in anywhere. Once you get married, you lose your benefits and you don't get them back. Whether you divorce 16 times or not, you just don't get them back. So I agree with Representative Jacome. We're not against this, but it really needs to be reworked. And 100% is, in my opinion, that's a little over the top. Thank you.
I just forgot what I was going to say.
Representative, I'm sorry, Representative Merritt?
Just to clarify a point, are the volunteer fire departments, are the volunteers included in this?
No, it's only paid positions.
Absolutely, I absolutely object to that. I served this community for 40 years as a volunteer, and I took the same chance as the paid personnel with my own vehicle, and I won't go along with this.
Representative Massett?
I agree with Representative Chase and Representative Jacome.
Thank you. Representative Casper?
Yeah, I am also dismayed that the volunteer firemen are left out of this. You know, just because they don't get paid, I think they should be first ones included because they're taking the risk and they don't get the pay.
Representative Scott?
I also want to chime in on the volunteer side of things. I guess a point of clarification, thinking about the old fire district located in the town of Broughton or in Stonington. Those volunteers, they have a quasi-pay situation where they get a stipend, a very small amount of money if they show up for a call, so would they be considered paid or would they be considered volunteer in that arrangement? And I'm sure we don't have the answer for that tonight. I would like to make a motion to table this discussion pending better information from the town council.
You can't.
Bailey, second.
Hold on, hold on.
Hang on. This ordinance has been enacted, and you have 45 days. The clock started ticking as soon as it became enacted by the council on the 3rd of May. So you don't have time to waste, to table it. You can't.
I withdraw that motion then. I'm sorry. I withdraw that motion.
Representative Scott, the town manager has an answer to your question.
Just to say, they have to be classified as full-time or part-time, so it would depend on how they're classified at that agency to receive it.
All right. Yeah, the fact that this doesn't cover the volunteers in our town is a hard no for me. I'm going to vote to veto this because they deserve the support.
Representative Adams?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I support what Representative Chase and various other representatives have commented. A full abatement is, in my opinion, not warranted. I can understand a reduction of someone's taxes, perhaps a percentage or a lowering of their particular assessment, but a full abatement, no, and I will be voting against this. Thank you.
Representative Thomas? Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Representative Fritchie, because he hasn't spoken yet.
Hold it close. Nope.
No.
I was on the Finance Committee, and we did...
Close. Can you... Way up, closer.
I was on the Finance Committee with all the other finance members when we discussed this, and it was a thoughtful debate. Nobody is trying to hurt anybody, okay? One of the concerns I expressed was that I'm surprised that we don't have insurances in place that should such an incident happen, that are adequate to protect the family, going forward. And that is something that if you get into a car accident and somebody dies, usually the benefit is very strong to help them to get through this and so forth. I don't think the tax abatement is enough, but I do want to know that the town is being responsible for those who do suffer such an incident in that they have insurances and so forth. So the question in my mind is, how did this happen that you could need a tax abatement to survive for the rest of your life? It should have been that you have the insurances in place and you receive benefits that
Representative
were certain.
she can't respond.
So that was my comment about it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I could tell you what
Go ahead.
in our police contract, for our police department, just so you know, through the contract, they're eligible for group life insurance. The principal sum is $50,000 plus an additional $1,000 for each $1,000 in annual base salary over the $50,000, up to a maximum of $100,000 insurance. And then for death benefit for employee killed in the performance of their duty, they're eligible for a sum of 1 year's salary paid in a lump sum to the surviving family.
Did you want to respond to his response? Go ahead.
Oh, it's on.
Really quickly, that is just totally inadequate. $100,000, $50,000, that's not going to do it for somebody who had this kind of thing happen in their family life.
Thank you. Representative Bailey.
He's coming.
Representative Bailey, did you have a comment? Okay, you need to unmute, please. Okay.
Thank you. I have just something just to listen to for a moment. Although that this covers the employees and it's a ordinance for the town manager, if later on a modification to the ordinance would happen, that could always be possible. Is that true?
That is correct. It would go through the same process of a public hearing, and once passed by the council, come back to the RTM.
Thank you very much. So with that all, we already have one person that qualifies for that type of situation in the back of the room, and I wouldn't see any reason to delay this, so that when the other condition would possibly happen, the modification process could possibly happen. Is that true to the town manager?
Could you say that again, please?
Are you asking if it can come back to the RTM with a modification?
It would have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would go through the adoption process, where you'd hold a public hearing, posted in the newspaper, same steps we took, the council took to get to this point.
Okay, thank you very much. I think considering that, I won't be vetoing this ordinance. It'd be a little bit too quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I do appreciate the body's conversation on this. I did not notice that volunteers were not covered in this ordinance, so that's a great point, and I thank you all for that, bringing that up. That being said, I'm still not in favor of vetoing it. I'd like to echo Representative Bailey's comments. I believe if we're that invested in supporting the volunteers, which I am as well, then we should probably all work together towards seeing a referral come to the town council and putting on an adjustment to this ordinance. But I would urge everyone to pass this, to allow this to pass tonight. One quick question of clarification. As far as the, there was some question about the naval base police officers and firefighters, right? So they're federal employees, correct?
Correct.
But for them to be covered by this, they would have to live within the town of Groton?
Well, of course, we can only abate taxes for people who live in the town. Right.
So they're residents of the town.
Correct.
They just are employed in public safety in a slightly different manner, yet still Subbase New London, despite its name, is actually primarily in Groton. Correct?
Correct.
Right. So, I don't see any reason to quibble over that. So I would encourage, again, no veto to allow this to pass, and then if we want to really invest in supporting the volunteers that pitch in to help, then let's make that happen after the fact of passing this. Thank you.
Representative Cerf.
Yes, how quick, I do agree. Representative Chase made a good point. If we had a sort of an act of God or terrorism or something like that, and a large number of our first responders, unfortunately, ended up in heaven, this would be a big problem for the town because it would become very expensive. And there's nothing in this document that addresses that. We're willing to be generous, but the town still has to survive. So if we were to let this pass tonight,
Can we, hold
how
on.
quickly
I'm
could
sorry.
we?
Can we just hold our comments, please, so that we can
How
hear?
quickly could we reconsider adjusting this legislation so that it would have a few more fail-safes and it would address some of the issues that the people on the Finance Committee had, and a lot of valid issues I think people did bring up tonight?
As soon as you submit something to the council, they could start looking at it. I do want to mention, though, that many employees do not live within the town. So let's say something, God forbid, happened to our police department. Many of them do not live in town. It'd actually be a worse impact on the payout for the year's salary than it would be for the tax abatements.
I see. But could we amend this, like, within the next year?
Oh,
And then
you could-
vote on it again?
Yeah, much quicker than that. And, if
Oh,
coun-
much quicker than
Yeah,
that.
if the council was interested in making changes, they would,
So they
again,
would-
hold a public hearing and
Right.
bring it, send it back to the RTM.
Okay, well, then, in that case, I think we should just pass it for now and hope that there's no horrible thing that happens to us. And then we can amend it to include everybody's concerns here, which I think are justified. And I think this was done kind of in a rush to meet this deadline, and we can probably do a little bit better.
Just to mention, the base of this actually came from the year before. So it's not, this wasn't just brand new created in these few meetings. It was actually carried over from before. So if you count all that time, there's been quite a few meetings looking at this. It's just that some of the players have changed over, but it's had quite a few meetings over the last 2 years on the same version or similar version.
Representative Gardner had his hand up next.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. There is absolutely no reason why we should be covering federal employees because they live in the town and they do a certain occupation that is dangerous. There are other occupations, people who live in town that are dangerous, including Groton utilities linemen. They're not covered under this, nor do I think they should be. But if the language in this legislation is convoluted, it's complicated, and passing bad legislation and then trying to correct it later is the wrong way to go. The ordinance should be sent back to the town council. It needs to be simplified. It needs to be limited in dollar amounts, limited in years, and limited to town employees, emergency responder town employees, if you want to do something. Passing legislation quickly is not a good idea.
Representative, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom. Manager.
Just to mention, the law, the enacting law only allows for police, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians. I agree with you, there's many other dangerous positions, but you couldn't legally put them under this, just to point that out.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone did, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Representative Jacome?
I'll just conclude that, I agree with some of the representatives here, that amended would only be done if the council would want it to be done. Is that correct, Town Manager?
Correct. Of course,
So-
you could do it, obviously you could always consider a power of initiative, but.
Correct. So that's something to keep in mind. And there are also concerns to just pass it. I don't think that's the way to go. There's definitely some things that need to be fixed there, and just to pass it, and then later amend it, that's not how we should be working as a body. Thank you.
Representative Scott?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. A question that came to mind listening to the town manager speak of the benefits that some of the paid firefighters and police officers receive. They're all union negotiated benefits, such as a year's paid salary, life insurance, health insurance, all that stuff. how does this ordinance either not step on our collective bargaining agreements or not put us in peril with other collective bargaining agreements who might feel, for example, teachers who might feel that they're working in a very unsafe environment with what we unfortunately are seeing in other parts of the country. How are we not stepping on a lot of other collective bargaining agreements by giving a benefit via ordinance instead of through a collective bargaining agreement?
This really has no impact on collective bargaining, and again, this can only apply to these categories. I mean, anybody at any time for a collective bargaining unit can ask for anything, but I don't see this being any kind of, since it's a state law, I don't see this having a lot of impact on it.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Casper.
Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Representative Casper, you're muted, please. Representative Casper.
All right,
There we go. Can you start again, please?
Right. I'm reading this, and it doesn't become effective till October 1st. Is that the way I interpret it?
With the new tax year, yes.
So there's no hurry in vetoing it. I think that would get results quicker. And it wouldn't be hurting anyone at this moment in time. Correct?
There's time to, there would be time to bring it back to the RTM.
I mean, by vetoing it now, there's no impact on anyone.
No immediate impact,
Right.
correct.
I still favor vetoing this and getting it right the first time.
Okay, seeing no other hands, we're going to do a roll call vote. So just for clarification, the vote is to veto. So if you vote yes, you're saying, yes, I want to veto this bill, and council has the option of taking it back on. If you vote no, you're voting to keep this ordinance as is, and you can obviously abstain. So,
Okay, Adams?
Yes.
Bailey?
No?
Burrell? Oops, sorry. Bright? Casper?
Yes.
Surf? No. Chase?
Yeah.
Crockett Hubbard?
Yep.
Eben?
No.
Frickman? Not here. Fritchie?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Guinapiero?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Hainline?
Yes.
Hanscom?
Yes.
Ivy?
Yes.
Jacome?
Yes.
Massett?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Norman?
Yes.
Aubrey?
Yes.
S. Powers?
Yes.
Pacino?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Cimarero?
Yes.
Thomas?
No.
B.C. Williams?
Yes.
Wells?
No.
White?
Yes.
Whitney? Representative Whitney, I see you. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes, okay. And Rusk?
yes.
Okay.
So that motion passes
It's vetoed.
24 to 5 to 1.
To one.
Rules and Procedures Committee, I received notification from Chairman Watson that they had problems with Zoom and therefore could not meet, so they have no report tonight. Do we have any budget discussion? Any other business?
I've got the
Oh, I'm
poll
sorry.
location information.
Oh, poll information location, one moment.
Just pulling up the minutes from the April, or actually, that's when it was written, which minutes are it? Whichever it is. There was two, registrars reported there were two polling locations that had to be changed. District 2 moved from the Zabersky House to the new Thames River Magnet School, former Westside Middle. District 6 moved from the former S.B. Butler Elementary to the new Mystic River Magnet School. So the final list of locations are District 1, Groton Public Library, District 2, Thames River Magnet School, District 3, Groton City Municipal Building, District 4, Mary Morrison Elementary School, District 5, School Administration Building, District 6, Mystic River Magnet School, and District 7, Fitch High School.
Representative Surf had her hand up first.
Yes, I know that the last time we tried to form a committee in the RTM, it ended up pretty much in a bit of a fracas. But with respect to the Branford Manor residents, I was wondering if we could have a sort of like an informal task force, maybe combined with 1 or 2 council members and 1 or 2 RTM members, where we could make sure that it doesn't fall off the table, as it has so many times, and that we really are addressing these people's need, which are really quite serious. I mean, I moved into a rental house one time where there was a mold problem, and my best friend came in and she was choking. I almost had to call an ambulance. Mold is a really bad thing, and they've been living with it for so long. I really want to be absolutely sure that their problems are addressed. So I would just like to put it in as a referral for your consideration. And if you feel that it's a
We just lost you.
It died.
discuss it whenever, at the next meeting where you feel like discussing it.
Do you want to?
Just to mention, we're already in the middle of working on this, and the council will be taking this up too. There are many pitfalls in this that will make it worse for the residents. I think keeping it tight, there's got to be a core group that's negotiating. So I wouldn't want to see the RTM, because I think could be detrimental. But if they're obviously be coming back and sending reports out and everything else, and I do anticipate the council taking this up.
So you're assuming full responsibility for this, John? Thank you.
I will tell you I won't drop it.
Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just so, speaking as a resident that is in District 3 that has been redistricted to District 2, I just want to be clear that this coming cycle of elections, I'm going to be voting at Thames River Magnet School, for the primaries in August.
They had to be in place for the primaries, yeah.
All right, so I'm effectively now District 2 permanently. I'm just ex
You're riding
officio
out
District 3,
for now.
riding this out.
There's nothing permanent with these things.
Right, but it's required to be put in
For the
place by the
foreseeable future.
It was required to be put in place by the primary.
Right.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
Yep.
All right. So, and anyone in District 6 also, now's the time to make the change. Right.
Anybody else?
Very quick
Hold
other
on,
business.
Anybody else? You don't have the
Oh,
floor yet.
anybody else?
You need to let other people have the floor first. Is there anybody else? Town clerk.
Thank you. It was brought to my attention by Representative Pacino that we have a 4th of July parade for the town of Groton. Traditionally, the RTM has participated. So if there's a will, please let me know, and I will forward that information to Mr. Locken, who is a guy that has been in the past responsible, and I hope he's again. So.
Stand up, please. Representative Norman?
And are we required to dress up?
Only you.
Absolutely.
Representative Jacome.
No, I'd like to say, and I'll be discussing with some of the other District 2 representatives as well, that I have not received any contact from Branford Manor, so I would definitely like to be informed for the people that I represent for District 2, so please, as well as the other representatives, they would like to be informed. So I would say look at the roster on the town website, and specifically for me, it's JACOM as in Mary E@yahoo.com, and you could send your concerns to me. Thank you.
Representative Eben.
Oh, and just remember, there is a, sorry.
Representative Eben?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would just like to echo what Representative Jacome said, and I have not received any correspondence. I've read about it in the paper and in other media. But if any residents wish to reach out to me, please do. You can get my email on the town website. It's probably easier than saying it online. And I would also like to reach out to Mr. Burt, and I realize you just said that our help wasn't needed, but please do keep us apprised and let us know if at some point representatives from District 2's help would be useful, because certainly it is an urgent issue that needs to be addressed post haste.
And District 2 representative may want to continue go to the tenant meetings on the 29th.
10 and 5?
11 and 5.
11 and 5.
Representative Cerf.
And I will go out of my way to make sure everybody's updated and kept up to date.
Yes, just a quick public announcement. For those people who are interested in, what? Is it
Just
on?
not hearing you, I'm sorry.
You squeezed it off, I think.
Yeah. For those people who are interested in short-term rentals and data centers, there's a workshop on June 14th, I believe, in the senior center here. The only thing is I forgot what time. Do you remember what time, John?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll send it to the council, or to
Okay.
the RTM tomorrow, though.
Representative
So
Thomas?
it would, if you're interested in these issues, and people should represent the town, so please come. Attendance is always good.
Representative Thomas?
Also, I wanted to remind everyone that there is a public hearing, Planning and Zoning is holding a public hearing on June 14th for the to consider the moratorium on data centers. So I would encourage everyone to engage with that and yeah, pay attention. So thank you.
With that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Okay, I have a motion. Thank you all. I have no idea who that second was.
And please say thank you to Cindy before you leave.
Yes. Representative Powers, would you like to make an announcement?
Yeah, there's plenty of food over here. One big cake, whatever you have, please.
There's cake being served.